Hello, Locksmithing Innovations. Jeff here. The channel is about tools, tips, and tricks for the locksmithing industry and others that are in similar industry, and for those that are aspiring locksmiths or in the lock sport community somewhat. Earlier today I went on my channel and I found that I'm now up to 100 subscribers. That is very nice. I am glad to see that, and thank you for everyone that is subscribed. Now, video 20. I've covered this subject in video 10 and at the end of video 19. There was lots of boring stuff, but since then is the final one. Actually, I watched a channel A+V or something out of England, where he says this would be his last Lychee. The guy was very ingenious, in my opinion. He designed a dimple pick using Lychee parts. At video 19, I sent it to Sparrows. They said it was very neat, hoping they would latch onto it. I also tried to contact Lychee with no success. But I've gone to the last step and the last stage, and this is why this video's come about. Basically, we're going to talk about the BE365 here. Right from the start, I don't know how many people, but it's a three-handed job. Now, I didn't bring in any bump keys or anything else, but let's say I'm trying to pick this. I've got to hold this from moving while I'm putting tension on it and try to pick it. And that sometimes, I had success in the past, but I also had failures where I had to drill. And anytime I have to drill, that really is a disappointing thing to me. So, as I said in video 10, I was at a strata or Airbnb or something, run by a property management company, and had no oil to put in the lock, had nothing else. And what I had came up with my normal pry bar, is, wait a minute, let's treat these like the old Weiser Beverleys that we'd get into the shop. And this whole thing here came from it, where now I can use these fingers turning the knob for tension as long as I block the core from moving. And there, I almost had it. Anyways, and I showed that in video 10 with some success. Today I'm not going to get success, but it worked for me. It actually worked for me just using a normal pry bar. But when I shot video 10, I had bent this with my Peterson U-Bend It kit. So that's great. So I thought, well, you know, it'd be nice if someone made a tension wrench. And then in video 19, I showed the tension wrench I made. I went to my favorite steel supplier, which is Super Metal Mart. There you got my tension wrench against the frame, and I'm able to manipulate this lock with either single pin picking or raking or whatever I'm doing. So, and I had success with that too. Today I'm not having any success, but I'm not trying that hard. This is more about development at this point. So, and the idea was to, of course, hope that Sparrows would catch on and make a left and right hand version. You know, maybe the same pick, maybe if I made this at either side. Now I did since then take measurements from the frame to the center of the keyway. It's about 2 3/8. So, now, people ask why I didn't bump it. Same reason why it's very difficult to pick. So if I'm going to pick this, I've got to put tension on like this. I got to hold it from turning. Okay, stop the revolution. Okay, which I can do. You know, anybody can do, but it just was a pain because you're fighting against yourself. So, one thing that I did do is, because these here can switch from side to side on a Lychee by just undoing the Allen screw. Okay. And you can switch that over to the other side no matter what hand of door you're on. Tighten up your Allen screw. I made this to slide on, which I had some success with. Okay, and I could slide it on depending on how far my frame was away to the right amount. The trouble is you see how that falls in. When I'm blocking it and I let up the pressure a bit for counter rotation or something, it goes like that. So I found the only way I could do it is by turning the knob counterclockwise, which might work. You see there again, it fell in. So it's like, okay, what I need is something rigid. So I took one of my collars from my Lychee, and if I can buy these, or anybody involved in the Lychee style pick manufacturing can set me up with a supplier of these, I will start making these. Now this is a piece of aluminum hex shaft. This was drilled and tapped so that I can leave this on, okay, couple nuts making sure it never comes loose. This is threaded into here. This is a piece of 3mm, because Lychee uses 3mm Allen screws. 3mm threaded rod, bent, heated up a bit and bent, with some heat shrink tubing around it. Now, this works. I can put it on if my lock is on the left-hand side. In other words, it's a left-hand door, whether it's a left-hand reverse or left-hand, and my frame's over here. I can put this on my Lychee pick on this side very easily. Okay, and then butt up against the frame. This gives me very quick adjustment that I can adjust the travel out from here with just loosening this nut, holding my wrench on here and loosening this nut. I can turn this out and then snub it down with the nut for different back sets on the frame. Now we know these normally are always 2 3/4, okay? But sometimes your frames are a little different and stuff like that. The majority that I have measured over the last couple months from center of the keyway to this is 2 3/8 of an inch. So there we go. And I bought a Lychee left-hand pick. Boom. So I could read it easily on the left-hand side. Now, I also bought the SC1 in the right-hand version. Okay. So, here we go here. I've unscrewed this now, taken that off. That was actually the left, because I actually made this, and there's my little SC1 for the right hand, and you just spread it a little bit and it will come off easily. So now we're going to put it on the right hand. There we go, it's down on. We're going to tighten it on. Now, why Why is it best to do this with a Lychee? Okay. At first, I mean, understand this. I think the world of Lychee products. In fact, another locksmith that knows me, and I know him, and he's a very good locksmith, works in my area, sent me a text with a picture of the Lychees he just got and how happy he was. He picked a commercial Schlage deadbolt with his new Lychee, no problem. I love Lychees, okay? Lychees teach locksmiths how to properly single pin pick for those locksmiths that can't, okay? After 49 years, I've been through manual pick guns, electric pick guns, designed my own version of the HPC with a rechargeable battery years ago, as I've said in other videos. I now have the multi-pick Cronus, love it to death. I bought 2 extra batteries. I've never ran out of battery product. Locksmiths, we want to pick locks quick because time is money in our business, and efficiently. So my go-to is my Cronus, okay? I have 31, because of this locksmith sending the pictures, I said, I think I got about 25. I actually inventoried. I got 31 Lychee Picks. Lychee Picks are amazing for automotive and track keys and everything else. But why this makes sense to pick this with Lychee. The amount of times people have ignored their low battery warning, and I've had to pick this on site because of a dead battery, and they don't know where their key is. They have no clue. They really don't care or don't want it rekeyed. They'd like a key. Well, if I've got to make a key for this and I don't have to do a rekey, if I don't pick and read it, okay, and picking and reading is something that Lychee has specialized in and done amazingly. For any old school locksmiths that used to be or have done lots of automotive like I have, that's really where we started the picking and reading, because if we didn't have to tear down a Ford ignition or impression the key or a Chrysler ignition, we'd pick it and then we'd stick in our diamond or whatever our favorite reading pick was. Some guys used hooks, and we'd read the height of them. And then we'd take our old model Curtis 14, there we're going way back, still love the Curtis 14 and the Curtis 15, and we'd clip out a key. We'd be done with it. We wouldn't have to tear down the steering wheel or tear it out of the ignition and try to figure it out. We developed skills of reading a lock after it was picked. Well, that's what you're doing with a Lychee, but Lychee gives you a scale and everything. Back then it was all by feel, and it was a tricky skill, but once you got it, you got it. And it was a fun skill to develop. But in this case, tearing the lock off the door if it don't need a rekey, you got to tear it off. You got 4 screws to get it off the door and a wire that goes through it, disconnect a battery, disconnect another wire. Then you got 6 Torx screws before you can ever pull it apart to pull that cylinder out. Well, if you could pick it and read it with a Lychee, you can go make your key with a set of depth keys, make your key with a clipper. In fact, Red Team Tools has something I haven't bought off them yet, but I will be. A little set of inserts that sets that Lychee clipper up to pick Schlage, or to clip Schlage keys perfectly. So it makes sense to pick this with a Lychee. So in this case, my tension comes from me turning this in whatever direction I want. And then I start looking for my binders. No binder there. Oh, got to click out of that one. Click there. And guys. I picked this over the last couple of days very successfully. And now, of course, it's gonna, now I'm shooting a video. Gonna click there. And we'll reset her. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Well, I think I'm going to need to make some adjustments on my travel. I picked it with my SC4 with this on it before I got the new SC1s, the left and rights. And this is my first time picking it with the well, it's obviously going to need some adjustment right now, so we're going to, because I'm not going to bore you to death all night with, we're actually going to slide this up closer, and then we are going to use 2 wrenches, adjust my angle a bit, and show you how easy. Now, while we're talking about this, I would really like if anybody knows anybody who can see about getting those collars from Lychee, so these can be made. I'd love to see these available. Once, as I said, I originally set this up. Now this is I bought a lot of stuff from the hobby store, by the way, and this is a Nylock Nut. Okay, let's try that adjustment. See if that gets us. Now, obviously, I want to stay at the right spot and angle. So when I get it there, I just tighten up that nut. And it's still a little bit. There we go. Perfect. So let's give it a shot now. Okay. Now I got a little less angle. In fact, maybe too little, because you can see with a lot of pressure I can push it through. So yeah, a little too less angle. So I need to come out a bit. We'll try 2 turns. Good click there on 5. Click on 3, click on... Oh, there we go. Now I'm getting solid clicks. See if I lost anybody. There we go, picked. See, that's what it took, some adjustments. I had changed this, as I said, I had it on an SC4, and I was waiting for my order of 2 SC1s because I never had an SC1, and I wanted to set this up with an SC1 right and an SC1 left. So I can take this off of here with one Allen screw without changing any adjustment and put it on the other side. And just to show you it's picked. Boom. Turn it a bit here with a pick. Get it right to 9 o'clock or... There we go. Now, this is going to have its own case, and whenever I know I'm going to a property that I have to pick a B65, I can either put it in on a left or a right, and as long as that frame is pretty close, I won't have to make any adjustments on site for picking either left or right. Okay, now obviously the frame would be on the other side. This, you're not struggling anymore. You just, this is your tensioning, and you can feel when you get a false set a lot better. You can let it off a lot better. That particular thing, and as I say, if any of you people that work for the big distributors, International Key Supply, etc., know Mr. Lychee, I would love to see that accessory sold for the BE365s. By the way, I did the center drilling for the tapping on a drill press with not a really good quality drill press with a vise, and obviously I went down on a bit of an angle, but the principle works. The principle's perfect. This tool is perfect. It will last me a lifetime. I would love to see this accessory made for picking these. And as I say, I could have read it. I still can read it. It's unlocked. I can read it. That's the beauty of the Lychee. We can read the key, what the key should be. Go make a key for the customer. You don't need, a blue punch. If you want and you got one, you can use it. You don't need an ITL machine or a code machine in your truck. You can if you want, if you need to, but a standard set of depth keys, I can make a Schlage key off of a cut code number. So the Lychee allows me to read that lock I just picked. So, thank you very much. I know I've done these videos, and as I said right from the start, this is a channel about tools, tips, and tricks. It's not a channel about lock picking. There's good ones out there. Can I pick locks? Yes. Do I pick locks successfully? As successfully as anybody else in our career for many years now. I have been doing it successfully, but I always try to find the methods and ways that will make people more successful. Junior locksmiths, apprentice locksmiths, when I teach them how to pick locks. And usually my students go on to be quite successful at what they're doing. It's like all of us, we have dry spells and good times and everything else. I actually had a lock on on a job there a while back that I needed to make keys for a bunch of locks on this property that hadn't been maintained for years. And it was a Schlage keyway, tulip design. No, it wasn't tulip. Orbital design, sorry. A53 PD orbital design. Thank God it wasn't dead latching properly, because I was able to slip my Swiss Army knife in there and pop it open. But I sprayed it with Tri-Flow, like most locksmiths will spray their locks first. Tried and no success. So I got it out to the truck and I did what we call a back tear down. Back tear down. Still no success. But during the picking, and I thought, okay, I've got the core out now, I'll try shimming it. I couldn't get a key blank in. Couldn't get it in whatsoever. And I'm tapping on the head of the key lightly, trying to get it in. It's not going in, it's not going in. I finally gave up, and I didn't have no e-keyway plugs with me, but I knew I was returning to this property to do more work a week later, and I knew I'd bring an e-keyway, so I just temporarily threw a C keyway plug in it, put it back on the door, and went on to other stuff on the property. Well, I took this plug back to the shop. I'm wondering why, first of all. And when I finally got it apart after soaking it for 2 days in oil and that, you could see the green corrosion marks on the lock pins. The lock pins had seized themselves right in the plug. And that's why I couldn't get a key into the plug. Well, needless to say, I don't know anybody who could have ever picked that ever in their life. Because when a lock has seized pins in it, you're not picking it. You're either drilling it or you're getting lucky like I did, and the door wasn't dead latching properly, so I was able to slip it with a void it is the proper term. So yeah, that's why I wanted to come up with a nice simple way of unlocking this and picking this and making a key for it for us locksmiths out there. And I believe I have done so and shown you. Hopefully it gets enough views, or somebody lets people know, and I can either source these collars to make them and sell them to people if they're interested, or if I can't source them, maybe Lychee will latch on and make a accessory for his Lychee Picks for the Schlage BE 365. Thank you very much, everyone. Hope you enjoy. Hit the like button if you like. And thank you very much for the 100 subscribers so far. I'm enjoying this, and more videos are on their way. Take care. Bye now.